Fawlty Towers is regarded by many as a masterpiece and the best British comedy of all time, but early in 2023, John Cleese announced that after over 40 years, he will be bringing back his iconic creation with his daughter. But it's not the first time that this fantastic sitcom has been remade. Let's look at those past attempts. The first American attempt at Fawlty Towers was in 1978, just 3 years after the first series aired. Titled Snavely, one pilot episode was made for ABC based on not a seaside hotel, but one by a US highway.
A beautiful view of Interstate 19?
Snavely had some recognizable cast too. The character Basil Fawlty was changed to Henry Snavely, played by Harvey Korman, known for starring in the classic Mel Brooks movie Blazing Saddles.
Stop that racket!
While future Golden Girl Betty White plays his wife Gladys.
Oh, you devil, Raj. Oh, Raj.
Two big names in their own right, so clearly Hollywood had high hopes for this series. We also get Petro, who's a two-dimensional copy of Manuel.
Food.
But now from Albania and played by Frank Larroquette. And Connie, who is a nod to Connie Booth, who played the similar character Polly in Fawlty Towers, and of course co-wrote it with John Cleese. The pilot attempts to remake the great Hotel Inspector episode with the fire drill from the Germans.
Oh, by the way, Mr. Foley, we are having a staff fire drill in just a few minutes.
Like Fawlty Towers, the two hoteliers struggle to keep up with the varying issues that the guests have, and misidentify the actual inspectors.
Are the vegetables in the stew fresh?
Of course.
They're not frozen, are they?
Well...
Because if they're frozen, they're not fresh, are they?
Well, I can assure you they were perfectly fresh when they were frozen.
Although the characters and set stay somewhat faithful to John Cleese and Connie Booth's original, the dialogue and performances are night and day.
That goat smells.
Mountain goat.
Whatever. The guests complain.
Well, some of the guests smell, and I don't complain.
Several of the jokes inspired from the original feel very watered down too, with the humour overly sanitized and any ounce of laughter squeezed out.
This hotel is a rip-off. Shut up.
Your behavior is totally
Scenes like these in Fawlty Towers were the result of simmering build-up that eventually led to a gigantic reaction by Basil. Audiences enjoyed the journey as well as the satisfying result, but the pilot rarely gives viewers that satisfaction, and instead feels too much like 25 minutes of rushed sketches. But you might think that the acting talent can be enough to turn Snavely around, but unfortunately, the performances often feel unnatural and overly camp.
Another problem, Mr. Bishop? Why, we just can't seem to please you, can we?
Henry Snavely is so cartoonish, it's like he's been plucked from a Carry-On film.
Good grief, it gets worse and worse.
Cleese too was critical of the actors, lamenting that they were too slow and embarrassed by the edgy dialogue. And ABC seemed to agree, as no series was commissioned as a result of the pilot. Take 2. Fast forward 5 years and we get a second attempt of a US remake with Amanda's, also for ABC.
Room 101 is our quietest room.
You're absolutely sure?
Would you like me to write it in blood?
But unlike Snavely, it ran for 10 episodes, although an additional 3 were filmed but never aired after it was cancelled, so you can probably predict how this series was received. John Cleese first heard about Amanda's from some Viacom executives at a party. After thinking about the briefcases of cash that could be coming his way, he was excited for the project, until they told him that they'd written out his character Basil. Now those hypothetical briefcases were more likely full of bricks. Instead, Bea Arthur, known for her starring role in Maud and another future Golden Girl, plays Amanda Cartwright, the widowed owner of Amanda's by the Sea, a struggling Californian hotel. Also in the show is her son Marty, his wife Arlene, and the bellhop Aldo.
You'll have to excuse him. He's from Toronto.
Perhaps the writers felt that changing the characters would make it less of a rip-off on Fawlty Towers, which is fine, but Amanda as a lead character is totally unlikable.
Why don't you go into my office and put on some makeup?
I'm wearing makeup.
But not nearly enough. You see, You have the kind of face that fades away under fluorescent light.
Can I put some more on?
At least with Basil, the viewer could sometimes understand and even sympathize with his decisions and behavior, but Amanda is just plain horrible most of the time. But, despite this character weakness, Amanda is a massive improvement over Henry Snavely. Bea plays the character very convincingly, and Amanda is an interesting character, despite being hard to root for.
Oh, don't play dumb with me, you Lothario.
Lothario? No, it's me, Olga.
You tell that to the unemployment office. You're fired.
She has quite an intimidating presence, so maybe if the hotel business doesn't work out, she could consider working in prisons.
If I die before you, I'm to be cremated, and my ashes blown into your eyes.
The series borrows some of the most popular scenes in Fawlty Towers, such as hiding the corpse or a guest complaining about her view.
But what did you expect to see out of a window in California? The Eiffel Tower? Or perhaps Krakatoa erupting?
Well, may I ask what you were expecting to see out of a Torquay hotel bedroom window? Sydney Opera House, perhaps? The hanging gardens of Babylon? Herds of wildebeest sweeping majestically?
But it also introduces new ideas such as a kidnapping, so there is a hint of creativity. However, there's no hiding the fact that it was another flop, despite being a much better adaptation than Snavely, which is not exactly the highest of praise. It does have better pacing, and at times feels frantic like Fawlty Towers, but the quality of the dialogue is just not quite there.
Well, I, for one, find this to be highly offensive.
And Bea agreed, labeling the show a big disappointment. With her talent, the show could have worked if the writing was better and they fully embraced its difference from Fawlty Towers. In the end, Amanda's feels like a wasted opportunity. Okay, third time lucky? Payne is the 1999 CBS remake of Fawlty Towers.
Bye-bye. Come again. Have a nice day. Drive safely.
Also set on the Californian coast like Amanda's, 9 episodes were made and co-stars John Larroquette and JoBeth Williams as hoteliers Royal and Constance Payne. That's right, Royal Payne and Constance Payne. Sadly, this terrible pun is a reflection of what's to come. There's also Breeze, played by Julie Benz, and Mo, the bellhop with Indian descent and played by Rick Patella.
I had a free moment and I want to thank you again for my existence.
However, unlike the previous 2 shows, Payne received the blessing of John Cleese, who even agreed to star in the second series if one was commissioned, which as you probably guessed, one wasn't. Like the other 2 series, Payne also seems to suffer from getting a poor Hollywood treatment, getting dumbed down and overly sanitized with weak, unnatural lines that audiences are expected to laugh for.
I am sure your husband and you are going to have a wonderful time here, and you're going to recommend us to all your clients.
Edward isn't my husband.
Which is none of my business. And a question we never ask, which is why so many families find us friendly.
Unfortunately, Larroquette can't pull off the physical comedy that John Cleese could, so he's unable to distract you from the terrible dialogue. Compared to the sexless marriage of Basil and Sybil, Payne establishes early on that Royal and Constance are still very much in love.
Oh, Breeze, isn't it the most beautiful thing you've ever seen? It is the most incredible gift that Mr. Payne has ever given me.
Where is the constant loathing and disgust of one another?
Hello, dear.
What you doing?
I'm kissing you, dear.
Well, don't.
The tense dynamic between Basil and Sybil was a highlight of Fawlty Towers, and the writers were too scared to keep even that in. Did the writers think that American audiences couldn't cope with a warring couple and prefer a cheesy show where everyone gets on with each other most of the time? In Payne, there's no feeling of danger or true consequence to anything. It mostly just trots along with very forgettable lines and plot. No excitement, no intrigue. Of the 3 American remakes, this would be the easiest to fall asleep to.
I feel like I want to cry.
Oh, I hate to see you this way. You know, that pin belongs on your breast.
But desperate to make the show more fun, the writers too often resort to lowbrow comedy, including forcing eye-rollingly bad sexual innuendo.
Where's the luckiest woman in the world?
Under Denzel Washington.
There's also the frequent uncomfortable references to Breeze's virginity.
Yeah, just wait until you make love for the first time.
Jokes like these deserve a groan, not a laugh. As the name suggests, it's a painful watch. Whatever Cleese was hoping for, this wasn't it.
Sprechen Sie Deutsch?
I beg your pardon?
Entschuldigen Sie bitte, können Sie Deutsch sprechen?
I'm sorry, could you say it again?
You speak German?
Oh, German!
So after the 3 failed US remakes, you might be surprised that in 2001, the Germans decided to have a go. With John Cleese as consultant, Zum letzten Kliff, which translates as On the Last Cliff, was made for German broadcaster RTL and set on the German island of Sylt in the North Sea.
Weinkarte. Weinkarte.
Would you fetch the wine list, please?
Si, senor.
The wine list.
11 of the original 12 Fawlty Towers episodes were rewritten for German audiences. Can you guess which one wasn't? Yes, the German episode was left behind. They understandably didn't think it would work, even if the roles were reversed with British guests. You see, most Germans have more gratitude than hostility towards Britain because of the war, so reversing nationalities would be ineffective.
The Germans, don't mention the war.
In Zum letzten Kliff, Jochen Buse plays Victor Stein, the German Basil, who acknowledged that the role was difficult as he would always be compared to John Cleese, who actually attended most of the filming.
Halt! Igor, du nicht!
Unfortunately, even the Germans couldn't remake Fawlty Towers successfully, as only the pilot episode ever aired. The failure of all 4 TV remakes of Fawlty Towers is a testament of how brilliant the writing and acting was of the original, but also how it's difficult to recreate that winning formula. Sometimes it's better to just leave the original alone, because any attempt to duplicate it will easily stumble. Thanks for watching. Why not check out other videos including our favourite scenes from Fawlty Towers? Please like, comment and subscribe. Cheerio!